of my friend Pam. So thank you very much, Pam, for bringing this to the forefront in Sri Lanka. Thank you for patient listening.
Thank you very much, sir, for that very informative and thought-provoking speech. I think you shed the light to see menopause from many different aspects. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are moving on to a very important event, and this will be a landmark in the history of Menopause Society of Sri Lanka. I'm proud to announce the launching of the Sri Lanka Journal of Menopause, and this is the first time in the history of Menopause Society of Sri Lanka that we launch a journal. To introduce the Sri Lanka Journal of Menopause, I take the pleasure of inviting Dr. Chanil Lekanayaka, the assistant editor of the journal, to speak a few words about the journal. Dr. Chanil Lekanayaka, over to you.
Good evening. I think Dr. Lanarol deserves to introduce the journal more than anybody else, because it was his vision and effort and that brought us this far. So initially there was a lot of skepticism and apprehension among all and even among us whether we have the capacity to launch another journal here, because as you all know, we have only one ONG journal up to now, and that too is keeping up, to say the least. So it was a big challenge to find authors to contribute. So I'd like to thank the authors who contributed the articles. Professor Hemantha Perera, I think his input on the position statement is going to maybe upset the apple cart in terms of HRT current status. And also Dr. Lakshman Senanayaka, Dr. Rukshan Fernandapulle, Dr. Vanasinghe and Dr. Heva Vitalna also contributed with their valuable articles. And now, what is the importance of a journal? And I mean, it's not like we found a wonder drug or anything, but what it does is it gives a platform, or where it gives a platform where you can discuss ideas, and gives a forum to bring in views. And this is a start, and we welcome criticism and also suggestions to improve the journal further. And let me conclude by saying that now research and development goes hand in glove for development of a country. And I mean, you don't need to be perfect or get it absolutely right to succeed. More often than not, it's the first step, and to take the first step, you need a lot of courage and conviction. I think we may have achieved that. Thank you. And
thank you, Dr. Lekanayaka. Now it's time to launch the first copy of the Sri Lanka Journal of Menopause. I cordially invite Dr. Sanath Lanarol, the President of Sri Lanka Menopause Society, to hand over the first copy of the journal to Sri Lanka Ranjana, Professor Sir Sabaratnam Arulkumaran. The second copy of the journal will be handed over to the Dr. MDP Gunaratna by Dr. Chanil Lekanayaka, the assistant editor of the journal. Next, the third copy of the journal will be handed over to Professor Hemantha Pereira by the other assistant editor, Dr. Sharada Jailath. Thank you, all of you. All good things come to an end. So it is with our program. Finally, to propose the vote of thanks, I invite Dr. Ruan Silva, the Secretary to the Menopause Society of Sri Lanka, on stage. Over to you, Dr. Silva.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I deem it a great privilege to have been asked to extend a vote of thanks on this historic occasion. This day will be remembered as a milestone in the history of Menopause Society of Sri Lanka, as it is the inaugural MDP Gunratna Endowment Lecture initiated under the presidence of Dr. Sanath Lanarol. On behalf of President and the Council, I extend very hearty vote of thanks to Sri Lanka, Ranjana, Professor Sir Sabaratnam, Arulkumaran, for accepting to be the orator tonight of inaugural MDP Gunratna Endowment Lecture. I would like to take this opportunity to appreciate and acknowledge enormous service and hard work done by Dr. MDP Gunratna as the founder president of Menopause Society of Sri Lanka from its beginning in year 2000 to 2019. I am extremely thankful to you, sir, Madam Devakanti and his family, members of their gracious presence in this occasion. I also thank to all invitees, members of Menopause Society of Sri Lanka, fellows and members of Sri Lanka College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists, ministry officials, invitees from other sister colleges and societies for their presence. My big thank goes to Dr. Sanath and Dr. Harsha and all other council members for adding this event to year calendar of Menopause Society of Sri Lanka. On behalf of President, I would like to also thank who contributed for Sri Lanka Journal of Menopause Society, which was launched today. Professor Hemantha Pereira, Dr. Lakshman Senanayaka, Dr. Chanil Lekanayaka, Dr. Rukshan, Dr. Madhura, Dr. Sharad, and Dr. Ifla. Thank you very much for your great tireless effort. I would like also thank Mr. Pathum, Mr. Chulaka, Mr. Ranjana for their fullest support to organize this event. Lakkom for printing. Last but not least, let me thank sponsors again, without whose generous contribution this event would not have been possible. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us to witness the inaugural MDP Gunratna Endowment Lecture. Have a pleasant evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Silva. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the inaugural MDP Gunratna Endowment Lecture. Now I invite all of you for fellowship and cocktail. Hope to see you all next year. Thank you.